is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Hangin With The Boys.
Blowing out of the backfield, exploding down the sideline.
This is Hangin' With The Boys, broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco. Now, your hosts, Nate Newton, Kurt Daniels, and Shannon Gross.
Well, we're a man down today. Nate had to go take care of some business, but we are joined by a very special guest, Rob Phillips. Just kidding. Rob is filling in for Nate. But
I'm just a guest. We got a special guest.
We have
to
a
my left
very
right here.
special guest, and we'll get right to it. We are joined on the show by Stephen Jones. How are you today, Stephen?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. Good to be on, and feel like I'm not holding up this seat well. I'm in Nate's seat.
It's hard to feel Nate's seat.
Yes,
It's
it
hard
is.
to fill Nate's seat.
I think he
so.
stretched it a little bit.
Well, appreciate you joining us. What's a day like around OTAs look like for you? What do you do on an OTA day?
Well, you're just out there a little bit trying to get a little glimpse of what these guys are looking like. Right now, Will and I did a quick count. I think we've got 90 players out there, and 45 of them are new, first time around. So there's a lot to look at, and certainly, you enjoy the fruits of the work. I mean, we're obviously very optimistic about what we've done with this team, the pieces we've added. Certainly missing a lot of familiar faces out there when you think about Tony and Dez and Jason, but at the same time, it's exciting because we do have so many new faces, not only players but coaches. And certainly I think the new coaches, along with the guys who've been here a while, are certainly looking forward to the challenge and working with these guys who are really wanting to step their play up and step up. And obviously, in a lot of cases here, we're going to be looking for some players to step into some shoes that legends, real legends of the Dallas Cowboys, they're going to have to step up and fill those type of shoes. But it's an exciting time. It's nervousness, but it's a good nervous. And so, you step out there and you take a look at it. Now, albeit you're looking at them in shorts and helmets, and it's not, as we call it, real football yet. I mean, they're learning systems, they're learning some of the techniques that we expect from them, but you're not seeing real football yet. And so we really won't know what we got our hands on until you put on the pads there and Oxnard for the first time and start to play some of those preseason games. You'll get a lot better feel for what some of these guys can do.
Speaking of Oxnard, real quick, have y'all released the dates of camp?
I don't think we officially have. We're still working on our schedule.
Okay.
And, sometimes, you do things. You might start a day or two here for the start of it, do a little, let people get acclimated and then head out. I know we've done that before, but I think Jason's trying to come up with his final recommendation for us in terms of how he'd like to proceed with training camp.
Okay.
It seems like the youngest team we've had, and I haven't done the math on the ages, but it seems like such a young team this year. Does that create any concerns? Does that change anything of how the season's approached at all and how the preparation comes?
Well, I think it's a good mix. You look at that offensive line, they're certainly seasoned. They're one of the best in the NFL. Certainly that's what you want. Then you look at what you'd call young guys and Dak and Zeke. And, I read a deal the other day where they're two of the top MVP candidates in the NFL. And so they certainly, I don't look at them necessarily as young guys anymore because they've been around the block. Certainly that receiving core, albeit there's no Dez. You got guys like Cole Beasley and Terrence Williams and, that crew that have done some good things for us. But that's probably one of the greener groups. And then anytime you lose a Jason Witten, certainly that's a green group. But certainly we think probably are more excited about the group than most because we see some good skilled players there. Now there's no high draft picks there. There's no Jason Witten, so we understand that. And then defensively, you mix Shawn Lee in with that young group of linebackers. I think he's got that covered. D-Law with that group of defensive linemen, and then you mix in that secondary back there with Byron, and then it gets young. But it's exciting to think of the players that we've added back there, and feel good that they're going to make a difference.
I wanted to ask you about the receiver position, Stephen. You mentioned
I think you mentioned at the draft there is no Atlanta-type Julio Jones guy that's going to get you 100 catches. And again, the offense isn't built like that. It's a Zeke run-first offense. But how do you size up what you've done at receiver and knowing that Dak's the type of guy that likes to hit the open guy anyway? He's not going to force things. How do you think that position stacks up?
Well, I think you're spot on. I think you'd probably be way too optimistic to think we've got a true number one receiver as we sit here today. Hopefully, maybe that changes. Who knows? But I will say this: when we sat down in the offseason to look to go back to that term Dak friendly, what was in his best interest. I think these moves could end up making Dak better because I think he's a quarterback. He's very cerebral. He certainly understands the system. He works at it, and he likes to work through his progressions. And that's hard to find in quarterbacks. A lot of them are good going first progression, second, and then things get blurry for him. He likes to go first, second, third, fourth, and not feel any pressure to have to force the ball. And I think with this group of receivers and tight ends now, and that's what made them great. Don't get me wrong, between Dez and Jason, certainly there's always pressure to get the ball to players like that. And sometimes even when it's not necessarily the read. And I think now Dak can, not feel any pressure, work through his progressions and get the ball. I could easily, listening to Scott and Jason, see games where, 8 different people touch the ball, catch footballs. And so I think that's what we, are going to look forward to for right now. I think a lot of teams get it done. There's good teams that get it done that way without the dominant Julio Jones, Dez Bryant type of receiver. Right. And we feel confident and that we can be very successful moving the ball with this offensive line with Zeke and then really letting Dak just run the offense.
So you think that he's coming off a down year, he's injured, now he's had some off the field stuff going on. Can Terrence is he still going to be counted on? Is he some worries there?
Well, he's got to go to work. I mean, there's no question, and that's not his character, in my opinion. I think Terrence is a top end guy. I think obviously, from what you see there, probably made some bad decisions that night. But nobody's perfect. But if you look at Terrence's full body of work, I think Terrence is a good person. He's going to work hard. But we brought several receivers in. We lost Dez but we brought in, obviously drafted Gallup, and then you turn around and, paid some decent money to Deontay and to Hearns. And so it's going to be competitive. And anyone who thinks they're just going to walk out there and something's going to be given to them, they got another thing coming. Sanjay's a great receiver coach. We think he's one of the best in the NFL. And he wanted it to be very competitive, and that's what we're going to have, a competitive situation to make this roster at receiver.
When you're out there watching practice, are you watching the coaches some as much as the players at times?
I do.
Just to kind of see, Jerry's mentioned new ideas, it's a new group as much as there's some change on the roster.
Well, I've probably the one, I hate to say you enjoy watching one go more than the other, but obviously Chris Broussard's bringing some energy out there. Right. Reminds me a little bit of Jerome Henderson. He's in his cleats. I think he still thinks he can play DB in this league. I know Jerome did. So, but he brings a lot of energy. Certainly very vocal, not unlike Rod. And certainly have enjoyed watching him coach these young defensive backs. And he looks forward to it. He loves the talent in the group. If you take, obviously, the draft that we had last year where you take 4 defensive backs, it's certainly a young group, but a group that he's certainly fired up to work with. I know he said personally they had Chidobe as their guy to pick right behind us there in Seattle, that they were going to pick him. So he loved Chidobe coming out, and certainly loves what Byron represents with his length and moving him back to corner. Obviously, he was a big part of that move, wanting to move him back to being that long corner. And so we're excited about what's going to go on back there. But I do find myself watching both. You watch those coaches interact. Of course, Rod, you can't ever miss Rod.
Nope.
He's going to give you a laugh every practice in terms of getting in those guys and working them. And it's always interesting when you bring in these young defensive linemen because their eyes are like, holy smokes, what did I get myself into? I'm not so sure some of the reasons we lose some of these guys, like a McLean, is he went to bed. He was fired up about coming back to Dallas, and then he went to sleep that night and said, pod drills. Rod Marinelli. I think I'll go to Atlanta.
Well, we know you got to get out of here. I have one question that's kind of off the field related. With Father's Day coming up here in a week and a half or so, what is the Jones household like around Father's Day? I mean, your dad's done some really cool stuff in his life. He's got everything. Do you still buy gifts? Do you just hang out? What's that like?
Yeah, well, we do, and it's a special day. Obviously, I've been so blessed to have a wonderful father who's I've been blessed not only to what he was as a father figure when I was growing up, but also to be able to work side by side with him my entire life. So, so special, and he's given so much as a father, not only to me, but my brother and sister. A lot of people, find that hard to believe that, a guy like that has spent just as much time being a great father, and that is what he is. He's all about family. Certainly, I'm blessed to have 4 wonderful children, the 3 daughters that have done so well, and my son will get to hopefully all spend time together. I'll get to spend a little time with my father, and then I'll get to spend some time with my kids. And
I bet you're not buying
I
ties.
joke a little bit that I'm that guy. I've got the real famous father that I've known forever, so I got his suitcase in my left hand, and little did I know, though, I'd have a son that they were going to walk right by me in Highland Park and ask for his autograph, so I've got his suitcase in my right hand, and I never thought I'd love every minute of it. So it's great being a father, and then obviously being so fortunate to have a father, and even further than that, 2 wonderful grandfathers that my father loved too. Had such a special influence on my life, both my grandfathers as well as my father. So it's a great day. I wish all fathers out there a happy Father's Day, and the only advice I give is you can't ever spend enough time with your kids. So love them and squeeze them and enjoy the day.
We enjoyed the time that you gave us today. We appreciate you coming on. We know you got to run, so we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back on Hanging with the Boys.
It can be hard to find the right resource for learning about important financial matters. You search how to build savings, you end up reading about the one weird ingredient from supermarkets that can make you taller. That's why Bank of America built BetterMoneyHabits.com, a safe little corner of the internet for answering your financial questions. Full of simple videos and tips, Better Money Habits can show you how to make the most of your money without resorting to random searches that always seem to lead to unbelievable photos of childhood stars grown up. To learn more, visit BetterMoneyHabits.com.
I definitely have an Instagram foodie thing, but the low-light camera on my new Samsung Galaxy S9 from AT&T is getting me a whole new world of likes and shares. Baskets of bread by candlelight, colorful fruit plates in full sun. Even a dimly lit Cobb salad was recently hailed as a masterpiece.
Come in now and ask how to get half off the new Samsung Galaxy S9 from AT&T. AT&T, more for your thing. That's our thing. Limited time only. See store for details or att.com/Samsung50. The dual aperture supports f1.5 mode and f2.4 mode. Dual aperture is installed on the rear camera.
Oh, I am craving a Dr. Pepper. I got some soda. I asked not for soda. I asked for ice cold, craveable Dr. Pepper. Its flavor is more one of a kind than a four-toed sloth with a thirst for speed. So stop settling for soda and start demanding Dr. Pepper. I love sloths. When you crave a Dr. Pepper, nothing else will do. Grab an ice-cold 20-ounce Dr. Pepper today. Dr. Pepper, the one you crave.
Back to Hanging with the Boys.
We are back on Hanging with the Boys. It's going to be hard to follow that up.
You can do it. We know you can.
We can try. We kind of glossed over this because we were trying to get to Steven so fast because he only had 10 minutes to spend with us. I think we actually held him longer than that. But Rob Phillips.
The great Rob
Phillips. I don't believe. Have you ever been on this show?
I used to co-host the show and it was called something else.
Yeah.
Not Hanging with the Boys.
No, you hadn't been on since we changed the format, huh?
I don't think so.
No?
But Nate's got it covered, you know.
Well, we appreciate you filling in for him.
Of course.
Thanks for coming on.
Looking so good, too.
You do look good.
Thanks.
Of course, you know, we asked him, I asked him last minute, hey, you know, we were actually going to cancel the show today because Nate was gone. We were like, hey, we all got a lot going on. And Kurt.
Yeah, don't you have a website to build or something?
Something like that, yeah. Been working on that a little bit. And Kurt was so great of getting Stephen on. He was like, "Hey, we've got Stephen.
Gotta
If
have a
we
show.
want him." I'm like, "Well, hell yeah, let's go, man. What time? Let's do it." So I ran over and asked Rob. I said, "Hey, we need a third. We're having the show today. Stephen's on." So he goes home and drives all the way across Dallas, changes clothes
Just for us.
just for Stephen,
Stephen.
and leaves us hanging in
Yeah. look
these
schmucks.
get-ups.
Yeah, y'all look terrible. That's okay.
Thanks, Rob.
That's okay. No. I got TV just outside, which I don't know why they told me to wear a sport coat. I guess I'd look so terrible when
You're
I'm
not
in polo.
You're not hot enough out there.
Yeah,
they want you to be.
apparently not. Apparently not.
We know you're busy, so thank you for coming on, man.
Anytime.
What are you working on? What are you working on these days?
Well, we're doing some Deep Blue documentaries that will come out. Kurt's working on some as well.
Can we talk about any of those? What the subject matter
I'm
is?
actually
on
going
any of
to interview Cliff Harris today for
Nice.
several documentaries.
And you just interviewed a couple of people, right?
We interviewed Calvin Hill yesterday, and we've had a few others down the road. So yeah, we've got 4 or 5. We're kind of in the works here that I'm helping out with.
What can we talk about? What they are?
We're working on one about Dwayne Thomas, who was the kind of mercurial running back in 70, 71. Fascinating individual. Doing stuff on Tony Dorsett. Obviously, everybody knows his Hall of Fame career.
One of my favorites growing up.
Yeah. It's
I was him in my bedroom many times, knocking pillows down and crossing the end zone.
Going 99 yards.
Yeah,
for the score
right there in that little one bedroom. Yeah.
He's interesting, and that's why we're doing the stories. That in our generation, he was the man. He was second in rushing, I think, when he retired. But today, he's sort of an afterthought. I mean, it's all Emmett, and so we're helping to kind of tell his story. And then Percy Howard, it's one I've talked about before that I've been beating people down with for I don't know how many years. We're finally getting that one going, and what else we got going on? I think Bob Lilly, we're going to work on one on that. So
busy.
We've got several.
Tyrone Crawford.
Tyrone Crawford should be an unbelievable one, from what I've heard the interviews that have been conducted. So that's also going on. I'm not involved with that one, so it's fun though. I think Rob can say the same thing. It's fun talking to these guys and putting these stories together.
Yeah, we're working on Bill Parcells and the 03 season, his first season in Dallas, shaking things up, bringing some Jersey down to Texas and changing the whole culture around here.
Was that the Quincy year or was Quincy the next year?
Quincy was a third-year guy at that point.
But when did they cut him at camp? Was
the next summer.
04.
Yeah.
Okay.
03 was his best season. Bill kind of molded him, and he was pretty efficient that year.
Yeah.
And that's part of the story is the talent level that they had was not very good. It was bad actually overall on paper.
They didn't do Campo any favors.
No, the cupboard was pretty bare. And just the culture change, and obviously he was gold when he was here.
Yeah.
Those 30-minute press conferences were must-see television.
The opposite of what we have now, right?
No, I like Jason Garrett's press conference. I really do. But I mean, there's those are carried live because of Bill Parcells, really. And he started.
People don't realize, and are y'all telling that you may be outlining this in the documentary, but he changed a lot of things that carried over through this, like shutting down practice except for certain times and things like that. Is that a lot of that going into this documentary?
Yeah, I mean, there's still things that Stephen Jones was just here, and every now and then I'll hear him give a Parcellsism, in an interview, two sides of that pancake or something like that. His impact is still here, and he set up the Cowboys for success with some of the guys he found, obviously Witt and Romo, but they didn't get to the Super Bowl, but the culture change and the path, they got on the right path when he was here.
Well, I've always wondered, my favorite part of the Garrett press conference is actually the walk-off after, where it's off camera and he kind of talks to the reporters, and it's a little more relaxed, and you can learn some kind of background stuff. But what was Parcells like? Did he do that same type of thing, and what were they like?
I can't remember if he had walk-offs or not. I don't think he did all the time.
Yeah.
The best thing about Bill was he would go on a topic. It could be horse racing, it could be anything, and you could find some kind of tie-in either to your life or to football. But there was also some genius behind that because maybe, as Jock Taylor told me, maybe the locker room opens 15 minutes late and you got less time to bother his players. He kind of wanted to be. Yeah. He wanted to be the.
There's always a motive.
Yeah, he was a genius at kind of playing the media at times, selling a story he wanted to sell, and really being the only disseminator of information. Don't talk to my assistants. Don't talk to the trainers. You come to me, and I'll tell you if I feel like it. I'll tell you what's up with injuries or whatever.
So have you interviewed him yet for the?
Yeah. Kent and Scott Purcell and I went down there last month. Doing well. He's 75. He raises horses now. That's what
race horses or
raising them.
I know, but are they race horses or
I think so. Because
he's big into horse racing, right?
Oh, he loves it. He loves it. So yeah, he's doing well. He's tan. He's looking good.
Really?
Golf. I think he was on his way to play some golf after.
Has he mellowed and chilled out any? Or is he the same?
Oh, he was great. Yeah, he was great. Now he might have scared me a couple times when I was 22, just right out of college, coming here trying to cover the Great Bill Parcells. But yeah, we really enjoyed it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Sounds like our interview with Mike Ditka. We went down to Florida to interview him. It was the same thing. It was just kind of intimidating, scary presence, but he was a great guy. You got
a couple of fun stories.
Yeah, some fun stories. I don't know if we should share here.
Just the process of getting to that interview.
Getting there was interesting for sure.
Oh, so Rob,
yes, sir.
Since we're not really familiar with you. It could be taken several different ways.
Are you not? I thought we were.
No, we are.
But
on the show we're not.
Yeah.
So what do you? We talk about it all the time. What we're most excited to see going into camp, and we talked about on this show a lot how this might be the most exciting camp we've had in a long time, maybe ever, with all the coaching changes. The whole secondary pretty much is new, with the exception of probably Jeff Heath and Byron. And Byron's only been here 4 years.
Switching positions.
Yeah. You've got the offensive line had some hiccups last year with injuries and stuff. They tried to shore that up. You got Dak that came off of a crazy successful rookie year, a great kind of undercover sophomore year where some people think he didn't have a great year, but on paper he did. You got Zeke back hopefully for a full year.
Yep.
All these backstories and crazy stuff. What's the one thing going into camp, that one or two things that you're like, this is what I'm going to camp and I want to see every single day?
I think I asked Stephen about it. To me, the wide receiver position is fascinating to me. And I liken it a little bit to 2009 when I was here covering. That was Wade's team, and they had cut T.O. a couple months prior to camp, and they really didn't have a number one receiver. That's the last time I can think of a Cowboys offense that didn't have like a go-to guy. You didn't have T.O., but you at least had Jason Witten in his prime. Mm-hmm. And somebody stepped up. Miles Austin stepped up that year and became a Pro Bowl guy kind of out of nowhere. That's him. Thanks, Doug. Classic Miles soundbite. He's a great guy. So there's the expectations around this team are really interesting, because I think maybe some in the media don't think they're going to be a playoff team, may not be close to a playoff team because of all the youth and because of some questions they have, particularly on offense, putting guys around Dak. I mean, you've got 9 total catches at the tight end position career, and it's all Jeff Swaim. And so who's going to step up, Mm-hmm. But there is talent at wide receiver, and I throw Tavon Austin into that mix too, even though you might call him a running back. The question, though, is do they need a number one guy? And you do have to have somebody, I think, step up and at least draw attention, draw double teams, something to get Cole Beasley a break.
Somebody to scare you a little bit.
Yeah, somebody scare you a little bit on the outside.
Is the hope there?
I think so. I think that's it's a great opportunity for him to step in and say, hey, you can be the guy on this offense. And the only thing really holding him back has been injuries in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So I think that's the hope. I think Michael Gallup's a guy to watch. Terrence Williams and Cole, like, we know who they are, who they can be for this offense. But Gallup's interesting to me. You watch him out at practice, and he's an explosive young guy. So he might be a guy that competes for time.
I think we said this last week, that there's like 11 wide receivers on the roster, and Beasley and Williams are the only ones that have any kind of service time with the team. Everybody else, I think Noah Brown and Lenore have been here 1 year. Everybody else is brand new.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's crazy.
And so, like, for continuity for Dak, it's not ideal, I guess. But they decided to move on without Dez. I think they made that clear, and they think they can do this by committee. And the thing to remember is you got 21 on the field. And if you got him for 16 games, that's a nice guy to lean on in your running game. And you just have to have some reliable receivers. The thing that excites me the most about this offense is the offensive line. Connor Williams' pick, I loved it. I think
hands down.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He's looking good out there. I think he's athletic, he's physical. If he can stabilize this line, I think they can get back to being what they were. People talk about 2016, but the first half of last year they were really good, putting up close to 30 points.
Where are they going to put him? Where's he playing?
Left guard.
He's probably your left guard.
Okay.
Now, is there any concern with the whole Martin situation? And
I don't think so.
No.
I guess we didn't get to that with Stephen, but he talked about it a couple days ago. Like, no,
it's just part of the process.
Part of the deal. The fact that he's been here working out, just not practicing.
Right.
Obviously, he's still been around a little bit.
And I wanted to ask Stephen. I just questioned spending that much money on another guard. I mean, the salaries the top guards are getting now is, I'm not sure anybody ever saw that coming.
Yeah.
And now if you already got a pretty high-priced offensive line, you got a quarterback you got to sign soon, you got potentially a defensive end you got to sign soon. Man, do you want to throw more money at the offensive line, especially when you just drafted a guy that looks like he could be pretty solid guard?
I would throw more money at Zach because I think he's your best player pound for pound. And I might put Zeke right up there, but
on the whole team.
Yeah.
Wow.
You could argue he's the best offensive lineman in football. Just pound for pound, what he does, maybe at least the interior lineman. He just doesn't make mistakes out there. And he's a leader in his own way, the way he goes about things. Really, all those guys are. Yeah. So I would pay him, but Kurt, I was going to ask Stephen that same thing. Like, you've got a budget for some things coming up.
Yeah.
Like you said, potentially DeMarcus Lawrence. Dak is eligible for a deal after next year. What's he going to command? I mean, those are questions.
Well, damn, if I would have known you were going to ask that, I would have not asked my Father's Day question.
Hey,
I like that. You got to end on a positive, That's good.
So who's your topical? It's 2 weeks away.
Who's your starting five coming out of training camp on the offensive line?
Offensive line. I think you've got the 3 Pro Bowl guys: Tyron, Travis, Zach. Mm-hmm. I think having Connor Williams drafted as your left guard, Kurt, I think that makes it easy to keep Lyle where he is.
Yeah, and they Nate was talking about this last week. You got to put him in there and just let him go. There's no, let's try this guy here, let's do this, let's move it. Put Connor Williams in there and go. And I didn't get out to practice yesterday. Did they have him working with the first team unit again?
He's been because
I know he was the first OTA.
Yeah, he's been at left guard, and they've got just the flexibility they have now with Cameron Fleming, who's played in the Super Bowl, by the way, to be a swing tackle for you. Chaz Green has been working at guard, at right guard. That's what it is. Right guard with Zach being out. I don't know where you play him, but they've added some depth there. And because, look, that was arguably the biggest issue they had last year. What happens if something happens to Tyron Smith? Mm-hmm. Dak needs to be protected a little bit more.
A little bit, you think?
A little bit. Just a little
What made
bit.
you think that Atlanta game?
Atlanta game.
The rest of the season.
All or nothing kind of reconfirmed that for us.
Nate is convinced that Atlanta game, Dak changed. Like he
I believe that.
Look at the first 8 games and the last 8. It was
his production changed. What does he mean? Like
PTSD type effect on him.
God.
Number of sacks, and it was
mentally it affected him somehow in his game where you take a beating like that and he just thinks that kind of changed the dynamic at the quarterback position.
Maybe the ball comes out a little quicker.
Yeah.
I haven't seen something like that in years. From the press box, literally every time.
Even in college.
God. He was running. Yeah, he was running for his life for sure. I think they found a way, some contingencies to fix that.
Yeah.
And
hope so.
it also didn't help having Zeke out as well.
Yeah, that's true. But
so back to the wide receiver position.
Yep.
Now, since they have so much depth now and they've gone out and they continue to add guys to get in the mix for whether it's camp bodies, whether it's really to compete, whatever. You've got some, I don't think there's a clear-cut number one. I think they hope Hearns is that guy. But everybody else is in the conversation. I don't think anybody's safe on this roster. I could see any 6 or 7 guys making this team and not be surprised if any of them don't. What are your opinions on, the bad decision Terrence Williams obviously made? Can't ride a scooter for – I can't believe he can't ride a scooter. Just put that in the garage.
Whoever was
he rides a scooter about the
advising him on his PR didn't do a very good job.
That scooter's broken. Just get rid of it. Get you a new one. But
maybe it's operating error since we've seen him manage the clock at
something was wrong with
seconds ticking down.
Something's wrong with that scooter, man.
Doug, you savage.
Something's wrong with that scooter. Is there any? Do you guys think that there's any? We probably could ask Stephen this as well. is he in danger of not making this team?
Were you listening? I kind of asked that, didn't I?
Kind of.
You did.
No, actually, I was listening. Actually, I wasn't
weren't listening.
I wasn't listening.
No, yeah.
But what do you guys think?
One, he's coming off kind of a down year. Didn't score a touchdown. His yardage was, I think, the lowest it's ever been. He's hurt. He's going to miss the higher OTAs minicamp. I'm not sure when he's expected back for training camp. And then
I don't think. Yeah, I would think camp is probably.
Now he's got this, which, on a one-off isn't really maybe that big a deal, but I mean, he's had a couple other little stupid incidents, nothing where he faced legal trouble, but it was just kind of silly stuff. You have to kind of wonder, I mean, is this a guy, you kind of know what you've got in him already. Is he worth whatever other troubles that may come up or whatever other injury difficulties he's facing? Like you said, there's so many other guys on the roster. And like Stephen said, there's going to be competition. I wouldn't say he's guaranteed at all.
I think his experience is important because if you take him away from this roster, it's Cole Beasley, and that's it. Like from last year, it's incredible.
That's unreal.
How much it would change.
That's unreal.
But can a guy like, I mean, Hearns obviously doesn't have experience here, but he has experience in the NFL. Does that count for anything?
Absolutely. Right now, in picturing Terrence healthy for training camp, I would put him and Allen Hearns right now as your starters to start out, with Cole being kind of that another starter in the slot. But Michael Gallup is going to, you mentioned competition. I think he's going to push for playing time right off the bat. And I wouldn't think something like this, though, is going to threaten his spot. I know people have talked about, well, the NFL could come in and who knows, maybe they issue some type of punishment because we've seen that happen outside of whatever happens legally. And then, guaranteed money, not necessarily being,
that's the thing. He's
you could void that
so,
if he's suspended and all that. I think his experience is important, and I would keep him on this roster, certainly entering training camp, and then see how the competition shakes out. But to me, letting him go, the idea of that, like, man, turning over your entire receiving core, I don't know about that.
I think he'd have to fall on his face to in training camp for them to
well,
let
I
him
think
go.
he kind of already has. He did that last week.
I didn't mean
Get
that
your
way.
together.
Whoa!
Please.
Whoa, did you say that on the air live?
Oh,
time?
yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That was one of many, I think. But no,
It is the internet.
It is the internet. There's no rules. No rules here in this room.
Hopefully he comes back more motivated and has something to prove and recognizes what he's got to do.
But it's amazing, even without Dez here, it's like how many receivers can you have? Like how much can the ball get spread around, especially with Tavon Austin? Like it sounds like they've got a role defined in mind for him. Maybe as a running back, maybe as a wide receiver, probably both.
Do you see him as kind of a Lance Dunbar type guy on this team?
Totally. Mismatched guy, move him around all over the formation. I asked Scott Linehan a couple weeks ago. He said, we look at him as a receiver first, but that doesn't mean you can't use him in the backfield.
Yeah, they list him as a running back on the roster. So.
I mean, I think he had 60 carries last year for the Rams. So find a way to stretch the defense vertically, horizontally, and maybe that opens up some things for other guys.
Have they been using Cole in OTAs that whenever you guys have been able to watch practice? Have they been using him any different? Are they moving him outside, or is he still strictly inside? Like, what are they doing with him?
Yeah, Brian wrote about that yesterday. Outside a little bit too. Try to free him from that bracket coverage, where it just clogs the middle of the field and takes him out. It's so important to get him going, I think, because 2 years ago he was Dak's safety blanket.
Yeah, they made that.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
What'd you think of the album? The autobiography.
Not terrible.
Yeah?
I
agree.
Not bad. I mean, I don't think it was great, but for his first project and for it to be kind of, produced here locally and all that, I thought it was pretty good, man. Not gonna lie. I think it was pretty solid. What'd you think?
I liked it. I mean, I'm not proficient in the rap game.
Yeah.
I'm more 90s rap,
Yes.
and I'm getting old, but I enjoyed it. Kurt?
Yeah, I'm kind of along with you. What I've heard, I liked. Again,
all Kurt has heard is
that song.
Douglas played it on the show.
No, I've heard one other. My
80 Stings.
My rap
game's not up to par.
Rap game's pretty thin. You'd say my level of knowledge.
It's pretty thin.
What's your opinion on that, man,
what?
Rob? We kind of talked about it, but just having a side gig outside of football that's, fans think football players You shouldn't be doing that. You should be well, they do have months off at a time. Yeah. They do have free time. It's not like they wake up, they come straight to the facility, they work out, they watch tape till 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, and then they go straight to – they have downtime. They have families. They have hobbies. They're normal people. Just because they're on lockdown about 7 or 8 months out of the year with football doesn't mean they can't do other things. I have no problem with it. What do you think? Does that distract him? What are your opinions?
It drives me crazy that people feel that way. Like, absolutely drives me crazy. Like, and it goes back to the best example I can think of is Tony Romo playing golf. Like, people got so mad about that because he would go off and play a round in February. Like, what the hell is he supposed to do? He was a single guy, you know? I guess you're supposed to watch film and slip like a pizza box underneath the door or something, you know?
Not everybody is Shawn Lee. Not everybody locks themselves.
Shawn Lee might be that, literally.
You know what? I read, and I think it was on our website. It might have been one of your articles or Dave's.
Yeah.
They were talking to Shawn Lee about the young guys and Van Der Esch and what he thought. And Shawn Lee's like, I watched film on him to know what kind of player he was and read a little bit about. Who does that? This guy's a rookie coming in. Shawn Lee's been in the league for 8, 9 years, and he's watching film on the rookies that are coming in to know who he's playing with. That's unreal.
Man, that's how you intimidate a rookie right there.
Yeah.
I've watched film of yours.
Film you've been watching.
You know, in that game against Marshall, you really blew it on that 3rd and 1. Like, what?
You screwed up your keys there, dude. I don't know, man.
He's a genius.
He's a machine.
He's amazing.
He's a machine.
He'll be a coach as soon as he steps off the field or whatever.
Hell, he already is a coach.
That's true.
He's a coach on the field.
Yeah, for sure.
So, well, let's take one more break before we end the show. And I want to get your thoughts. We're talking about linebacker. Jalen Smith had some not surprising, some comments, the last few days, the last couple of OTAs. Get your thoughts on that. We talked a little bit about tight end situation. Want to get y'all's thoughts on, what do you think going into camp? That seems to be like a kind of a coin toss all the way around there. And then we'll talk about other stuff when we come back on Hangin' With The Boys.
Cowboys fans know that the second best of anything simply won't cut it, and your skincare should be no different. A longtime locker room favorite of the players and the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Dallas-based Jack Black is the #1 best-selling men's skincare brand in the country because we make products that help guys look, smell, and feel better. Visit getjackblack.com/Cowboys to get $10 off your first order of $50 or more. Jack Black. Look good, smell good, feel good. Official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting Cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/Cowboys.
I definitely have an Instagram foodie thing, but the low-light camera on my new Samsung Galaxy S9 from AT&T is getting me a whole new world of likes and shares. Baskets of bread by candlelight, colorful fruit plates in full sun. Even a dimly lit Cobb salad was recently hailed as a masterpiece.
Come in now and ask how to get half off the new Samsung Galaxy S9 from AT&T. AT&T, more for your thing. That's our thing. Limited time only. See store for details or att.com/Samsung50. With dual aperture supports f1.5 mode and f2.4 mode. Dual aperture is installed on the rear camera.
I was like, I'm not that messed up. I got to call the show.
Back to Hangin' With The Boys.
We are back. In case you're wondering, as Rob said, what was that?
Say that again, Douglas. You there?
Dougie.
I was like, I'm not that messed up. I got to call the show.
That was after a trip to the dentist.
Was there photo evidence of that? I think I've seen it. You were just totally
have a video
wiped out up there.
I have a video on my Instagram account that I don't even remember posting, and I was just like smiling and taking a video selfie and just like, hey.
Oh.
Yeah, I had a tooth.
Lucky you didn't present it there or anything.
Speaking of pulling, what you got over there, Kurt?
Pulling?
Pulling.
Oh.
I said I had a tooth pulled. Speaking of pulling.
Okay. What?
Wedgies, pulling, tugging.
I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't know. Just read the damn thing.
Adjust your cleats, adjust your pads, even adjust your helmet. But seriously, don't adjust your underwear because once it's been seen, it cannot be unseen. Tommy John has contour pouch that nestles the boys in moisture-wicking fabric to keep you cool and dry on the field or in the stands. I've got mine on today.
Do you?
I bet Rob does. Rob looks so good.
Always.
Always.
Two of my favorite words, nestles and moisture. I love
So
those
strong
words.
at the balls.
And you just changed your whole wardrobe to
I
Tommy
did.
John, didn't you?
I changed out. Yeah. I swapped all my drawers.
Nice. Swapping drawers. All right. Get yours swapping drawers at Cowboys Underwear at TommyJohn.com/Cowboys for 20% off your first order. TommyJohn.com/Cowboys.
Woo!
Aye, laddie.
There you go.
Aye, laddie. Paul's coming back this year. Did I tell you that?
Yes. You said he's bringing friends too, right?
Scottish Paul?
Yeah, Scottish Paul. He's coming to. He's going to the Texans game, and then he's coming to. I think the Titans game is the week after. He's staying for a week, so he's going to try to catch 2 games. One in Houston and one here. So probably have him back on the show when it comes.
Prepare your liver.
Yes. Just prepared. So let's talk about a few things. First off, what's going on at tight end? Who is there a front runner going into training camp or
Rico?
Whoa!
And what's
Probably
up
not
with
him.
that guy?
Zeus.
What are you thinking? I want to see more out of Jeff Swaim, not only because he's a friend of the show and he'll come on anytime we ask him, but
He's a good dude, and we met his folks. And
Yeah.
they're really nice people.
yep. But
He's a good player too.
He's a good player, and I think they underutilize him. He's, when they've called his number, he's been there. I think he's a good blocker. I think he's a better pass catcher and route runner than people think. But this team's kind of, or at least the fans have been in love with Rico the last year and a half
He's
after
the unknown. That's
he
what
showed
he's the
out.
mystery man.
But he's kind of one-dimensional right now, isn't he? Does he need to step up his blocking game to get more playing time? What's going on at tight end?
I think he said yesterday it's almost like step 8, going back to step 1, step 8, from step 8, because of all the time he missed. I mean, you think about a guy that was playing in middle school playing football, and then he makes the transition and it's going kind of well, and then he sits out a whole nother year. So I don't know what the expectations are for him. I know pass catching, he can be effective. We saw him with a couple touchdowns in preseason.
Yeah.
Blocking is probably the biggest thing. And the thing about it is in this offense, and Jason Witten used to talk about it, they ask their tight ends to do so much, to handle so much responsibility, in line, all backfield, all those things. Can he pick that up? And to me, you mentioned Swaim. I think Dalton Schultz, the rookie, has a real opportunity to step in and be effective right off the bat because he played at Stanford, and they're like a factory for tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think part of that's the blocking aspect, especially is mindset. And does Rico have that? I mean, you got to get in there and do the dirty work. I mean, maybe he does. I'm not.
Tell me this: do you really like to hit people?
Exactly.
What about Jarwin? Is he still in the mix?
Had a touchdown yesterday. Looked good. He's a guy that can, like you mentioned, Swaim, kind of underrated, can separate down the field, get open, and make some plays. So there's some athleticism there. The Rico thing is just and dynamite drop, Doug. But that it's fascinating to me because I want to see more of him and see if he can get back to where he was last summer because it was just a shame that he missed all that time.
Can you obviously like Jarwin because they put him on the active roster towards the end of last year. So it'd be exciting to see what he can do.
I think Philly tried to put him on their practice squad. And Cowboys made the move. They didn't really have a role for him back then. They just want to keep him.
Can you see them keeping all 4 tight ends and running more 2 tight end sets and change? Or here's a bigger picture question. It kind of fits into that. I think the one thing that everybody could agree on last year that I talked to, casual fans, hardcore fans, is this team didn't do a very good job of mixing things up. Mm-hmm. Like when you saw certain formations, you knew what play they were going to run. When you saw this, you knew this was coming. And they ran, it looked like just a basic offense pretty much all year. And even people that don't really know football that much that would talk to me, they'd be like, put somebody in motion. Like, move one guy from one side to the other. Run, some different sets.
Yeah.
Do you think they go into this season not learning anything from last year and just going, here we are again, this is what we're doing? Or do you think they'll try to mix it up?
I think a little bit that's overrated because I think they tried putting Dez in motion. They moved him around, trying to get him, better opportunities. But yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned Cole, you got to find ways to get him freed up a little bit. That's one example. I think Tavon Austin being here, he's kind of a chess piece. You move him around, find some different opportunities for him. But that's why I asked Stephen about the coaches, because Jerry has spoken to that. Like, we may need to do some things a little bit different tactically and bring in some guys, Paul Alexander on the offensive line, new receivers coach, guys that can come up with some new ideas and add to what Jason and Scott are doing. Yeah. Kurt?
Yeah. You got anything? Or do you want me to move to the next topic? I mean, you're sitting there looking at – I know Rob looks good in that jacket.
Did I talk too much?
No, I was interested in what he was saying. Don't be coming at me.
Whoa. This is like me and Mickey going at it and talking. I love it.
Except we're on the same side of the table. I just reach over and jerk Kurt up.
I agree with him. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I love this underrated nemesis confrontation. Like, I wouldn't expect that from Kurt because he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, good answer, Kurt.
I have a feeling Kurt's like a black belt in MMA. And
Kurt
just don't know it. He's just calm and just waiting for an excuse to do something.
You ought to see our
controlled rage.
You ought to see our directors' meetings when we're in the room. I'll come at Kurt and he'll snap at me and everybody.
I love it.
Him. I'm like,
I love it.
Pretty awesome.
It's all a good fun.
We have a hate relationship.
No,
so
I love you, man.
I love you too, man. Linebacker position. Jalen Smith came out and said that he's like 3-point-something% body fat. He's gained like
how's that possible?
10, 15 pounds in muscle. He's running a shuttle time that if it was at the combine this year, I think he would be third overall out of all players, not just at his position.
Yeah.
So it sounds like physically he's getting to or where he needs to be. How do you think that's going to translate from what, everybody looks good without pads on.
Yeah.
How do you think he's going to make a bigger step this year and be the player they thought they drafted when they took a chance on him?
They are very confident of that. I mean, we got to see it, right? And some of what, he had some struggles last year, but some of it was just asking him to play that many snaps. I think he played almost 70 snaps one game or something like that.
Yeah, they overused him or whatever.
Yeah, some of it is just being comfortable in the scheme in addition to trying to move better. And we asked him yesterday, where's your brace that he's been wearing? Because he had the drop foot last year. He said, I don't know where it is. So that's good, right? To not know where that thing is because he doesn't need it, he says right now.
As long as he didn't walk off limping.
Yeah, and I think there's signs out there that he's moving around.
But where does he fit in this? Because obviously he seems like the pass rusher on the move, almost like a Shawn Lee position, but you're not going to move Shawn.
Right.
And can he handle the strong side? I mean, where does he fit in?
Well, they've had him at middle right now with Van Der Esch, I think, working second team. And you said it. I mean, he can be a guy moving forward for you as a nickel rusher. The Sam spot just gets less overall snaps. It just depends on what they do in the nickel. With two linebackers, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Van Der Esch and Shawn? Could Jalen work in? I think you can find snaps for all three guys. And obviously you need depth because guys get hurt. Shawn has gotten hurt in the past, and so you need depth. But I think Van Der Esch also fits that middle linebacker spot because he's a big linebacker who can move.
What about Damian Wilson? He's still in the mix there?
Sure, that's another guy. Brian mentioned him on our show the other day. Just don't forget about him. He's a guy that's handled the Sam spot. Athletic, physical linebacker. So I think it hurts losing Hitchens for sure, but I think they feel a little bit better about it. But Jalen's the wild card because, he was at his best last year when he was playing 20, 30 snaps. Maybe that jumps up to 30, 40, 50. Maybe he can be more effective that way.
Man, something that should be scary for other teams, if you keep Shawn Lee healthy, which if you have other options at the linebacker spot, you keep him off the field a little bit more, that gives him a better shot at being healthy. Van Der Esch, if he's the guy they fell in love with and turns into what they hope he does, Jalen plays at 85% of what he was at Notre Dame. You got a solid linebacker. Yeah, I mean, that's a top 5 linebacking crew in the NFL if those guys pan out like they're going to. I mean,
let's hope.
Like you hope they do. So What about defensive line? What are you seeing out there on the D line?
Did you see our guy Charles Tapper? Is that not practicing? Got a concussion.
Poor guy.
What?
Yeah,
So
Tuesday.
Malik's out.
Malik's out with his foot.
Tapper's
out.
David Irving not practicing.
I don't explain David Irving to me.
Explain it.
Why? How does this happen?
Well, that's what the off-season program's for, I guess. I don't know.
When you show up, apparently.
Yeah, right. So he needs to get his conditioning up. Needs to get in shape.
For don't know, he's working out on the side. He's not practicing with the team because the staff has determined he's not in good enough shape.
Right.
Which is mind-boggling.
And he's been a guy where his weight has fluctuated, where he can play tackle for you, he can play in for you, but he's going to have to lose some if he's going to play defensive end for them in this spot.
I tell you what, all he has to do is stand out there for about 2 hours a day. He doesn't even have to move. For those of you that don't know,
he may need to lose if he's going to play tackle for you too, which probably that's where he played primarily last year. You're right.
It's supposed to be 102 degrees here this weekend. Yeah. So just to let
Oxnard,
you know,
let's go.
Here, let's
Come
go.
on. I'm glad you asked about days. Can we push that up by like a month? Let's just get let's get there in June.
Yeah. Why not next week? Let's go.
Yeah, let's do that. No,
as long as you don't have to stay though till into August.
Yeah, right. Yeah, start paying taxes out there.
Rice pilaf.
Do we know anything else about Tapper's concussion? Like I heard Jason Garrett say that that's what happened in his press conference. But Rob, did you guys find out anything further about how it happened?
I don't know exactly how it happened. Obviously, it was an accident. It doesn't sound like it's anything too serious, fortunately. So
no foul play involved.
No,
they're in shorts and t-shirts, but they do, especially on the line. They're banging each other around.
Things can happen. Yeah, you can end up banging heads. It happens. Yeah, but it's unfortunate for him because it's like now you draft Dorrance Armstrong, who they like.
That's Nate's pet cat.
He likes him, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Said he hadn't even really seen him practice. He's like, I just looked at him and he's like, I'm watching him all at camp. That's my guy. Who's your guy?
I trust Nate.
Who's your camp guy? So Nick is kind of enamored right now. You can probably figure out why with Katie Cannon. He thinks he's got a solid shot of making this team. Baylor, Homer, Baylor or Arkansas. Nick's going to be like, he's making the team.
Yep.
Nate's pet cat is Dorrance Armstrong. Who's your pet cat?
Maybe like an underrated guy. Like Connor Williams isn't a good pick, right?
That's too obvious.
I like Mike White competing with Cooper Rush, for the backup spot at quarterback.
Broadus really likes him, doesn't he?
Big, just a big quarterback, poised, can spin it, man. He threw a dime to Gallup, I think, last week, over the shoulder, down the sidelines. Like, wow, that's And the thing I like about him is he really his touchdown interception ratio in college was really, really good. Like he's
smart with the ball,
young quarterback that doesn't make mistakes. So if you're going to be the backup, which he's got to win that job over Cooper, you got to be able to be efficient, be a bus driver. So he'll be you got to watch.
What about you? Who's your pet cat going into camp?
Well, selfishly, I had a chance to do a story on Cam Kelly, and really engaging kid, really liked him, and I'm interested to see how he fits in with the kind of player and the kind of scheme that Chris Richard is building here, and so I'm interested to see how he does. So.
He's got a great story too, coming back from injury, and
yeah. Did you see the picture of that?
I tried to avoid it.
Someone tried to show me, and I refused to look at
it. Here, if you want to see it,
it's okay. So we're out of time. Look at this.
We're out of time. We gotta go. Well, we have, I believe, one
Who's
more.
Your pet cat? You didn't say.
Oh yeah, Shannon.
My pet cat. Man, I don't even know. That's a great question.
Some homework for you.
Yeah, that's some homework. I'll let you know on Monday. Speaking of Monday, I believe that's our last show until we go to camp.
Whoa.
No, I think we got two more.
We got two more?
Monday, and then because mini camp's the next week, I think we got one more.
I thought we had two more. Well, anyway, we're coming to an end here and get a little break, and then we go daily once we get out to camp. Have you decided when you're coming yet?
I don't know the exact dates, but I think it'll be that first week or two.
Better stay for 2 weeks.
Straighten this out, for crying out loud. What is going on?
Well, you tell her to talk to Nate because he's going to disown you, kick your ass, if you don't come out there for more than 2 days.
Language on this show.
The internet. It's not a family show, Rob.
By the way, Rob is an alumnus of this show.
He said that earlier.
I did say that.
Oh, good.
God.
It was called his DC Star Mag.
We have to put up with Rob.
It's okay. You don't listen to
Nobody
Rob.
listens.
I don't listen to Kurt. It all works
try.
out. We got
Big
each other's
dysfunctional
back.
family.
Yeah.
It's my attention span comes and goes.
Well, Kurt, thanks for showing up. Rob,
Thank
thank you so much for filling in for Nate.
Thanks, Rob.
Stephen Jones, thank you for joining us for a little bit and giving us some of your valuable time. Douglas, thanks for doing what you do. Kent, thanks for pushing buttons. And everyone in the studio that makes this show happen, we appreciate it. We will be back on Monday at our normal time, I guess, 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock.
On Hangin' With The Boys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?